Welcome back to Agenda Kenya with me, Jason Nyantino. Tonight we are focusing on various governance issues as the country prepares for the next general election. My next question is from Joshua Obuchenya. Joshua, your question, please.
Okay, thank you. My name is Joshua Obuchenya, elder from Botela. So my question is, since we are going now on election and our Katiba says that we are giving women 2/3 of the seats, and my question is, how, if they cannot garner those 2/3 of the seat, what will happen?
Okay, thank you, Joshua. Maimuna, you'll give it a go.
I think the Constitution provides for 2/3 of either gender, to be constituted within Parliament. So nobody's giving anybody any seat. Failure to meet this 2/3 principle, it will be unconstitutional to constitute Parliament. It is that simple. So we will not be able to go and swear in parliamentarians because 200 and something are all men. So it is up to the Kenyan people to decide. Are we going to have a problem after elections, or do we look for leadership among men and women so that we can meet the 2/3 gender principle?
What is your solution? If you are in Parliament, what advice will you offer?
There have been many proposals being made from the women movement, from various civil society organizations. One is to amend the Constitution to provide for the mechanism to implement the 2/3. Now that is debatable because a certain group of the civil society do not agree with that. The other option has been to amend the political parties law to provide for a mechanism for political parties to nominate women. And there was a very good suggestion from one of the young men saying that ODM has proposed that they will support women. Well, ideally, they should have given nomination to women in the strongest ground, that is Nyanza. Give all the seats to women, field men candidates in other areas. You'll have enough men and women. So it is so simple. I mean, Parliament has not been able to come up with a solution, but again, Parliament alone is not the only one with the brains. The rest of the country has solutions. There are so many people out there who could give solutions for these 2/3. And 2/3 of gender, for heaven's sake, it is not women. 2/3 means either men or women.
Or women. All right. Pastor Odera, you said you're a pastor.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I think the ideal is that we would all compete for an elected position. That no affirmative action would be put. But in essence, I don't think that's the way we look at it. In our conversation that we've had this evening, the thing that I'm seeing is that we have not yet reached there, that we actually look at the gender role before we look at the leadership quality in them. I think for us, there is a space for affirmative action, but I think affirmative action should last for a certain period of time to correct that abnormality.
Thank you. Wangui, I'll come back to you in terms of Elder Joshua's question.
One of the issues that has been asked is why women are not voting for women. I'll say this, women in Kenya have grown intelligent. We are assessing leaders on the basis of qualities. It is not enough to say that so-and-so is a woman, so all women should rally behind her and vote. Out of 51 political parties, only one political party has fielded a serious presidential candidate, and Mrs. Ngilu has come in lately. So that makes 2 out of 51 parties. Even those political parties going about saying that they are supporting women, that is a political gimmick, and we are alive to it. Because if you look at any political party saying that they are supporting women, if you look at the party leader male, chairman of the party male, secretary general male, organizing deputy party leaders male, how on earth can that kind of political party come out and say that they're supporting women? Those are the kinds of political gains. Those are the kinds of political games that we do not want. Another thing that is constantly being raised when we talk about women and leadership is the whole issue of Nancy Baraza. Now, Nancy Baraza may have done what she did, but I do not understand why Wangui Mbatia should be measured on that yardstick. Meanwhile, we have men doing all manner of things, and we don't see other men in Kenya. Why shouldn't we say then we cannot vote for William Ruto, for Uhuru Kenyatta, for Kalonzo Musyoka? Because Waitito has been behaving badly. Why does it go?
Okay.
Why does it follow? And in the meantime also, there's also the flip side to it. When we do something, when a woman in Kenya produces something good like Wangari Maathai, we don't suddenly see Kenyans waking and saying we will vote for women. Look, all the suspects in the ICC cases are men. That should be a good enough reason to say then maybe we want a woman for president.
You made a good point. Audience now. I want contribution from the audience. I start with the gentleman on the...
My name is Kevin Onyango from Kenya Polytechnic University College. Sometimes when we discuss some of these issues, we can even get emotional. But to say the truth, you know, as we are talking here now, we have always blamed the country, as in Kenyans, the voters. We have always blamed them for voting wrongly. But the truth of the matter is, do we have leaders of integrity? And if we have them, who are they? Again, do we have leaders of integrity, or we have leaders of business as usual? That is those leaders of self-interest. And if they are also, who are they? Because they are the ones who are causing all these problems.
Let me ask you a question, because you are a voter.
Yes.
Are you a voter?
Yes.
I think you also need to answer that question. How will you be able to tell that this is a leader of integrity? Because you are going to vote. How will you know that this leader has integrity?
All right. To me, personally, a leader is a leader of the people, for the people, and by the people. Not a leader of self-interest.
Yes.
Currently, we have most leaders who are parading themselves for presidential candidates. Most of them are just self-interest people, and we know that.
Okay. Maybe one or two more. Yeah, gentleman on the third row. Yes.
First of all, my name is Richard Otira from Langata Youth Network. For the 30% that actually remain in the parliament, could actually have the political influence to influence those who actually came into the parliament. Another thing, the reason why we could be having bad leadership, the current bad leadership, could be like in the deployment of MPs to various ministries. Those people are not actually deployed to their relevant as compared to the education actually they acquired in the university. So take an example of a lawyer actually having a post in the Ministry of Education, in the Ministry of Finance. Actually, it is not relevant, or it is not related to the degree he actually acquired. So I think that could be a confusion on, they don't really understand their profession.
Okay, thank you. Good observation. On the extreme, yeah, in yellow, yes.
Okay, I'm Jonathan Musau, and I just wanted to differ with what Wago is telling us, because one thing is mandatory, whether we get good leaders or not, that we should have a third representation of either gender. So whether we elect them or we do not elect them, they must be there. They'll be nominated. Whether they are good leaders or not, they must be nominated. So the question is, how do we come up with a way or now we can elect them at the ballot? And one suggestion came from Waima. We know that the big parties have some strongholds. Why can't we take the battle to the parties instead from the parliament?
Okay.
What I mean is, let the parties nominate that gender during the nomination times prior to elections.
Okay, thank you. I think, Bench, you need to take that up.
Let me take that question. Yeah. My dad is from a place called Kangundo in Machakos. I guess you could call that home. I'm a registered voter in Westlands. I cannot see how it is possible for my constitutional rights not to be violated if, for example, any of those two constituencies were blocked out only for women. In other words, there's a legal conundrum here in how we drafted the Constitution. Yes, we passed it. Yes, I supported it very strongly under Katiba Sasa campaign, but some mistakes were made. When voters go to the ballot, they are going to seek the best leadership as they see it. That best leadership could be a short person, could be a man, could be a woman, could even be a Japanese of Kenyan descent. And so somehow this requirement on gender, I strongly believe in a progressive state that it is aspirational, that it is something that we will achieve as we move forward as a nation, as we become more inclusive and more tolerant. But for now, even if you do a poll within family settings across Kenya, you'll find that a lot of families are not even comfortable with women being, let's say, in leadership outside of home and managing many things. Do that poll and come back and tell me.
Okay,
It's true.
As you respond to that,
It's absolutely true.
Wango, I want to take the next question as you respond to that. How do we need to educate voters, by the way. How are they going to now know the right leaders to vote? Because we are just whining also.
I don't know where my friend here lives, because Kenya today requires a two-income family to move. Our men have allowed us to go out there and hustle. We are hustling because 60% of Kenyans are not employed. I have no idea which family he's talking about where men are doing it. We are doing it together. We are doing it on the home front. We are doing it in education. We are doing it in church. Why shouldn't we be able to do it in the political arena? Why do these families live?
I'm not saying you shouldn't. But
Because
Martha
I have-
Karua is at below 5%. That speaks volumes.
I have no difficulty with exceptions to the rule.
How do we empower the voters? How will they know that this is the right person
You
to
empower
vote? Very
voters.
quickly.
You empower voters by giving them choices that they can make intelligent decisions on. The Constitution says Parliament must have 1/3. You know for a fact that if we do not have 1/3 through your ballot, they have to be brought there one way or another. And one of the ways available is
Thank you.
nomination.
Thank you.
Nomination
Thank you.
increases the House, bloats it. So we are telling you, elect women
I
or
need to
face the
spread
pain.
debate. I need to spread the debate. Maimuna, there was a question about, how do we know these are the right leaders? How does the voter get to know about that?
Jason, this country has gone through a lot of civic education. I've been a candidate myself, and I'm totally surprised that Benji, as a young man, is talking the way he does. I would have expected that from somebody like Zenyachai, who's retired. You know, he comes from a totally different school of thought.
I hope with due respect, because you're mentioning somebody's name.
Yeah, with due respect, I respect him very much, but he comes from a totally different school of thought. You know, they're elders, they came through independence, but those guys who were born from 1963 to date, you know, I would have expected them, especially when they're exposed, to think differently, yeah? In terms of good leadership, it is not difficult, neither is it rocket scientists. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to know that Maimuna is a good leader, yeah? Wangoi is a good leader. You need to listen to what they're saying. You need to watch out what they have been doing. A young man here is saying that I've done A, B, C, D. You need to listen, but you know what we do, Jason? We actually sell our votes. We sell our rights to ask questions. So let's not just pretend like we are not educated, we don't have enough civic education. This country has spent a lot of money educating the public. If there was a lot of civic education done, was before the referendum. I was in CKRC, we went countrywide, we learned a lot. We know who's a good person and who's a bad person.
Okay, thank you. And with that, we come to the very end of this week's edition of Agenda Kenya. I thank my panel and my studio audience for that wonderful discussion, and to all of you at home for watching. You can still be part of this discussion by answering this question. Do you think the Kenyan voter is to blame for the bad leadership that the country has experienced? You know the drill. Text your response to the numbers on your screen. Give us your name and where you're watching us from. You can also extend this discussion on our pages on Twitter and also Facebook. And until next week, goodbye.